What if Khal Drogo had survived and invaded Westeros alongside Daenerys? Let's delve into this alternate scenario and explore the consequences of such a monumental event. Before we begin, if this video reaches 3,000 likes, we'll create a part 2. Khal Drogo rides across the vast Dothraki Sea, his strength returning day by day. Nearly a week has passed since his grievous wound in combat against Khal Ogo's forces. Though Mirri Maz Duur had treated him, Drogo also sought the aid of skilled healers from his own Khalasar. They administered traditional Dothraki remedies, using potent herbs and bombs to tend to his wounds. Slowly but surely, the great Khal regains his strength. With renewed vigor comes an unyielding resolve. The assassination attempt on Daenerys is not forgotten, and Drogo now envisions a grand conquest. Westeros shall fall under his rule. Determined, he begins planning for an invasion. His first step is securing a fleet, an unfamiliar concept for the Dothraki, yet a necessary one. Word is sent ahead to Magister Illyrio in Pentos, who, despite being a merchant, has vast connections and the resources to acquire the necessary ships. However, transporting 400 Dothraki warriors across the narrow sea is no small feat, and preparations will take months. Meanwhile, Westeros is in turmoil. King Robert Baratheon meets his end during a hunting accident, gored to death by a wild boar. Shortly after, Ned Stark, his loyal hand, is executed in a coup, plunging the Seven Kingdoms into chaos. The War of the Five Kings erupts, leaving the realm fractured and vulnerable, an opportunity for invasion unlike any before. The initial plan is for the Dothraki to land directly in the Crown Lands and march on King's Landing. However, Sir Jorah Mormont warns against this, cautioning that they lack the siege capabilities to breach the capital's defenses. Instead, he advises an invasion through the Stormlands, where the naval forces are weak, ensuring a safer landing. The only obstacle is Renly Baratheon, who has already gathered a formidable army, bolstered by the Reach's forces. Drogo, amused by the thought of an army standing against him, remains undeterred. With the fleet assembled, the Dothraki armada sets sail. Their landing in the Stormlands is swift and devastating. Villages burn, their defenses crumbling before the might of the Horse Lords. Smoke rises into the sky as people flee into the wilderness or fall to Dothraki blades. The local lords hesitate to fight back, their best warriors having already marched west with Renly. Upon learning of the invasion, Renly Baratheon races eastward, eager to prove himself as Westeros' rightful king. He rallies his cavalry and leaves his slower infantry behind, hoping to surprise the invaders. However, Dothraki scouts spot his army long before he arrives. On the open plains near Fellwood, Drogo prepares his forces for battle. As Renly's knights charge, the Dothraki formation splits like water, encircling them in a deadly trap. Arrows rain from all sides, cutting down the cavalry. The once mighty charge dissolves into chaos, the knights struggling against the unorthodox and ferocious tactics of the horsemen. Only a few manage to fight through, most notably Sir Loras Tyrell and Randyll Tarly, who carve a path of escape for a fraction of their forces. In the heart of the battle, Renly fights alongside his loyal men, including Sir Robar Royce and Sir Gaiard Morgan. Khal Drogo himself enters the fray, brutally cutting down Sir Gaiard with a single strike of his hork. His blood riders soon capture Renly, dragging him from his horse. Seeing their king fall, the remaining forces scatter. Some yield, while others flee into the Kingswood, where even the Dothraki struggle to track them. At dawn, Drogo surveys the battlefield, thousands of corpses littering the ground. Survivors are bound in chains, among them several highborn prisoners, including Brienne of Tarth, Sir Robar Royce, and Lord Estermont. But the greatest prize is Renly himself. Stripped of his armor and brought before the Khal, Drogo regards him with disdain before turning away, declaring him weak. The Stormlands now belong to the Khalasar. Yet the Dothraki are not alone in this conquest. That night, a stranger is brought before Drogo, a cloaked man of fluid movements and keen eyes. Jorah translates Drogo's question, "Who are you?" The stranger pulls back his hood. "I am Sir Barristan Selmy, former Kingsguard. I come to pledge my sword to Daenerys Targaryen." The Dothraki laugh, mocking the old knight. One of them prods him with a spear, but before he can react, Barristan moves with lightning speed. He grabs the spear's haft, pulls the guard forward, and delivers a crushing blow to his throat. Another warrior lunges, only to be swiftly disarmed and struck down. The camp falls silent, stunned by the display. Drogo watches, his eyes narrowing with a flicker of respect. Barristan strides toward the captives, addressing the gathered knights. I am Barristan the Bold. I fought beside your fathers, your uncles, your brothers. I served your kings. Now I serve Daenerys Stormborn, the true queen of Westeros. Stand with me. Reclaim your honor and fight for your rightful ruler. A hush falls over the captives before, one by one, they begin to kneel. Their chains clink as they bow their heads, pledging fealty to Daenerys. Only a handful remain standing. Renly, Brienne, and a few others, refusing to betray their king. Loyalty is rare, Barristan acknowledges, but loyalty to a false king will not save Westeros. With his forces growing, Drogo does not linger in the Stormlands for long. The true test lies ahead. The Reach, the heart of Renly's power. Yet, before marching west, they receive an unexpected visitor. A figure strides boldly into the Dothraki encampment, flanked by Dornish spearmen carrying the sun and spear banners of House Martell. I am Oberyn Martell of Dorne, he declares. I come to offer an alliance. Daenerys listens as he continues. Our lands are barren, but my thirst for vengeance burns bright. The Lannisters have wronged my house, and I would see them pay in blood. Drogo welcomes warriors willing to fight for his Khaleesi, but Oberyn has another proposal, one that catches everyone off guard. To solidify our alliance, I propose a union. Your Khaleesi should take my nephew, Quentyn Martell, as her second husband. The camp falls silent. Then Drogo laughs. A deep, rumbling sound. You would give her another husband? My Khaleesi is not a woman to be shared like spoils of war. His gaze sharpens. But if a marriage is needed, perhaps I should take a second wife. Oberyn smirks. I have a niece, Arianne Martell. She is as ambitious as she is beautiful, a match worthy of a great Khal. With a swift motion, he draws a dagger and slams it into the wooden table before Drogo. But know this. I will not see another Martell mistreated. If you harm her, not even your swiftest horse will let you outrun my wrath. A tense silence follows, then Drogo grins. You are strong, Dornishman. Bring this Arianne to me and she will be honored as my Khaleesi. He gestures toward the wine. For now, drink with me. Let us toast to war, to blood, and to vengeance. As the night deepens, the fires of war burn brighter than ever. The Dothraki invasion has only begun, and the Seven Kingdoms will never be the same. The woods are dense with foresters, their presence hindering Kogo's advance at every turn. These relentless attacks slow his progress, steadily wearing down his forces as he fights for each inch of land. Yet despite the resistance, he eventually forces a crossing, compelling Roose to retreat to Harrenhal with his remaining 1,000 men. The burned and broken castle serves as a temporary stronghold, providing shelter and a defensive advantage that momentarily stalls the Targaryen army. Within its narrow, crumbling corridors, the Dothraki cavalry are forced to dismount, and the Westerosi soldiers must tread carefully. Hidden archers slip through the ruins, while defenders rain down stones and flaming pitch upon the invaders. But these efforts only delay the inevitable, for the enemy outnumbers them 6-1. As night falls, Daenerys' army begins to overwhelm the defenders. The Dothraki fight like demons, cutting through the outer defenses and setting the gates ablaze. Dornish spearmen, led by Oberyn Martell, seize the momentum, locking shields, scaling walls, and securing the high ground. Reachmen and Stormlanders engage in brutal skirmishes amidst the ruins, fighting in scattered groups and forcing their way through the halls. At the forefront, Kogo rides ahead of his dismounted warriors, wielding his arak with lethal precision. Yet Roose's strategy is clear. Delay. He orders a retreat into the inner keep, surrendering ground but buying precious time. He knows reinforcements are on their way. A sudden blast of war horns cuts through the chaos. From the northwest, Robb Stark charges at the head of 500 men from the northern Riverlands. His banners adorned with direwolves rally the defenders within the walls. The Stark cavalry slams into the flank of Daenerys' army, shattering their rear guard. Northern longbowmen unleash volleys of arrows, cutting down Dornish spearmen and Westerosi defectors. At the sight of the young wolf, many Riverland defectors hesitate, some even deserting back to their lords or surrendering outright. Sensing the shift in battle, Khal Drogo commands his forces to abandon Harrenhal and engage the defenders in open battle, where their superior numbers can turn the tide. A rearguard attempts to hold back the advancing Northmen while the rest of the Targaryen host scrambles to reform their lines. Just as the battered rearguard collapses, another force emerges on the horizon. Tywin Lannister, leading 200 disciplined soldiers, arrives from the east. The 4,000 cavalry under Adam Marbrand gallop forward, crashing into the lightly armored Dornish flank, cutting through them like a scythe. With the Northmen hammering the Dothraki from the left and the Lannisters striking the Dornish from the right, Sir Barristan Selmy struggles to hold the Targaryen center. Even so, the Dothraki and Dornish fight like wild beasts, their defiance unyielding as the fields of Harrenhal are soaked in the blood of kings and queensmen. The battle grinds into a stalemate. Daenerys' forces are pushed back, but their center just barely holds. Then, the final piece of the puzzle falls into place. A small force, numbering just a few thousand men, emerges from the woods. Led by Roland Storm and sent by Stannis Baratheon, they strike the unsuspecting Dothraki camp. With its few defenders quickly overwhelmed, the camp falls. Panic spreads through Daenerys' army as men abandon the battlefield, either rushing back to save their belongings or fleeing outright. Whole units desert, resisting Khogo's desperate attempts to rally them. Soon, the entire Targaryen host collapses into a full rout. In the chaos, Daenerys is nearly captured in her tent, only escaping thanks to Sir Barristan Selmy, who whisks her away to safety. Gathering what remains of her forces, about 3,000 men, she retreats to Harvest Hall. But as the remnants of her army struggle to recover, another battle looms, one within her own body. Soon after their arrival, Daenerys feels her water break. Sir Barristan rushes her into the castle, where the loyal garrison provides a hastily prepared chamber. Hours later, the halls echo not with the cries of battle, but of new life. Rhaego is born. Exhausted but triumphant, Daenerys gazes upon her son, a fragile glimmer of hope amidst the storm of war. Days later, Khal Drogo arrives, having regrouped with some of his scattered forces. He spends a single day with Daenerys and their newborn, a rare moment of peace amid the chaos. For a fleeting instant, the war seems distant. But he knows his duty. He must ride out once more. As he steps toward the window, preparing to leave, a cold wind rushes in. The candles flicker and die. A shadow materializes behind him. Daenerys screams. Drogo whirls, Auroch slicing through the air. Yet his blade cuts nothing but mist. Before he can react again, the shadow's dagger plunges into his heart. Soundless, Khal Drogo collapses. Moments later, Oberyn Martell rushes in, sword in hand, but the assassin is already gone. A trembling Daenerys explains what she saw. Oberyn steadies her, his grip firm but gentle. Assassins. A shadow, he mutters darkly. This is Stannis' doing, his Red Woman. Harvest Hall is no longer safe. Oberyn insists they must retreat to Sunspear, where she will be protected, where they will plan their next move. But how? Daenerys whispers, her voice heavy with doubt. My forces are scattered, my allies divided, and the people of this land despise me. This land is not yours, Oberyn replies. Not yet. He meets her gaze, his expression unreadable. Your forefathers faced the same resistance when they first set foot here. They were not loved, not then, perhaps not ever. But your ancestor Aegon did not conquer Westeros with words or mercy alone. He conquered it with fire and blood. Oberyn's eyes burn with conviction. You are a Targaryen, and your enemies will show you no mercy. Show them the same. This is our theory, a glimpse into the thrilling possibilities of Westeros, a land teeming with stories yet untold. If you enjoyed this journey through the Seven Kingdoms, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. The battle is far from over.